welcome to this short panel discussion on the commercialization of R&D initiatives. So my name is Stefan Schnitter. I'm with DTCon, part of Deutsche Telekom, and in this role I'm the technical lead of the 5G MEC for EU. It's a coordination support action to support 5G corridors and 5G smart community projects for integrating compute, especially edge, into their projects. And let me invite the other participants, Kagate from the RISE Institute. Please join me on the stage. And George Pereira. George. Oh. I was told he was here, but he was here. George, does anyone know George? This is weird, but it doesn't matter. I mean, of course, it would be better, but we'll have the discussion then between Kagate and myself, plus you will be the third person. Yeah, so that's your role. And maybe Kagate, can you briefly introduce yourself? And I think we will both sit down to have a discussion, just for the audience to get to know you a bit.
George is here.
George. Just in time. Welcome, George. Please, take a seat. Good morning. Good. May I just ask you, Kagate, to introduce yourself from RISE Institute?
Yes, I have two hats, basically. One of them is I'm a project manager at RISE Research Institutes of Sweden, where I'm deeply involved with European projects, and I do my best to push innovative technologies into commercialization. The second hat, I'm also Open Compute Projects Nordics project lead, so I work closer with the industry, and these two.
Thanks, Kagate. George, quick introduction on what is your role.
Okay. So, sorry for the delay, I was outside having a coffee. So I only have one hat for the moment. I'm in the European Commission. I'm responsible for the research projects in the area of connected and automated mobility. The Commission has launched this initiative already a few years back. We have put around 100 million euros in what we call pre-deployment projects, which are obviously relevant to the theme of this session. And there we prepare the way through a number of projects towards deployment of this technology across Europe.
Thanks, George. Thanks a lot. Let's do this interactive a little bit, this discussion. I will be asking you questions, and since it's early in the morning, so we're talking about from project to product, commercialization. Measurement of impact, I think, is something which all of you know, I'm sure, who are involved in research projects. But let's look at it from the end. And today we have the full bandwidth of policy, let's say user, industry, and I myself have mostly worked in operation within DT, not so much in the R&D side for a larger point. And we have the R&D position, so we have the full width. And I would like to ask you a first question. So if you see the output today of compute being created in Europe in a sovereign way, just yesterday, my mother company DT, together with the German government, had a big announcement that they will build 10,000 GPUs with NVIDIA in Munich in a data center to foster industrial AI. Like a huge initiatives, and you can see many of them. So who of you believes that this is a good or output supporting this action that we are all researching here? One, two. You have to raise your hand a little bit higher. So the rest believes that this is not a this is not a good output.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start here on the panel. Maybe a question to George or Kagate. What is your view on, is this kind of collaboration a good output of actually the research, or showing that the research is going in this direction?
So if I may, I understand people being kind of pessimistic even, but there is a big delay between policy, action, and then deployment and later impact. As I said, the Commission invests a lot of money in this area of connected mobility, because the objective was to make sure in the end that across Europe, everyone would have access to this technology. But there's as many underlying problems. The first one is coverage. Coverage across Europe is not equal, very far from it. So there was a component of deployment of infrastructure, and this takes time. And then you have to convince the players like you that there is an opportunity there. And when you're talking about very short-term delivery cycles, where you have to make your stakeholders happy every quarter, this is not an easy thing to do. So when we went from 100 million euros of investment in these pre-deployment projects, to which we had another 50 million of people looking to concrete technology barriers, and there are still many in this regard, we moved towards what at the time we hoped to be 1 billion euros of investment in actual corridors across Europe. Because again, the point is to make sure that everyone across Europe, that you would have a solution that would go, to give an example, from Lisbon to Helsinki. And this is not an easy thing to do. There are cross-border issues. There are coverage issues along the way. Okay? We have, just give an example, we have a project in the Baltics, and they recognize that across this corridor, 90% of the coverage is 3G, which is not at all what we would expect. So there was a build-up necessary. So there is no clear and obvious and much less fast link between policy. This was a decision from the Commission to invest in this area, to actual technology, solutions, to pre-deployment, deployment, and eventually someone making money. This takes a long time, but if we are short-termists, we are not going to invest in the important things. We need to invest in important things. And the example was given just now is one of the things where we have to invest. But don't expect money coming out of this anytime soon. So I would suggest people be realistic, understand that there are many deep technological problems, but also legislative and regulation problems that need to be solved before we get there.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, George. Let's hear the research perspective a little bit. I mean, also from your point of view, you see a lot of research projects in your, and also like open standards. You mentioned open compute as one, like really open hardware initiative. What is going well there on the journey to the product, yeah, or where you can see good examples, or what is limiting you to make this R&D research like faster to product?
First of all, I want to give the feedback on like the international collaboration side. For me, it is obviously positive. Like some people, I think sometimes when we think about like investing in European technologies, we feel like it is all black and white. Like either we go full force and either we retrieve. From my point of view, especially like also my experience in Open Compute project, which is an international open source project. I think it is all, I mean, we are not on the 70s anymore. Like the innovation has turned into a more of a, open innovation paradigm. And we, I think European Union, European Commission is supporting us to enable this open innovation dynamics within the European Union, allowing us to collaborate, be stronger. I think this initiative here, it's a great example of how we collaborate. But we should be more open-minded about collaborating with market leaders, because this is a huge market. Considering the full stack, there are a lot of things to be done. And I think sometimes we should be okay to collaborate with the industry leaders as long as we improve our technology and we actually create both ways, like good collaborations. I don't want to say dependencies, good collaborations. More we contribute to the global state-of-the-art technologies, then more strong we're going to get. I think this is my first response. And the second response, just like here, actually, again, a great example, but this year in Open Compute project, 11,000 people participated. The AI hype is basically affecting the market a lot. My main takeaway from the Open Compute project this year, the supply is not managing the demand. So they are trying to understand, like, do we do it faster or do we do it in a more efficient way? I think EU can, especially what we do in EU, can contribute to the efficient side. I think this should be my first comment.
Thanks, Kagata. Yeah, I think that was a very good summary to say we shouldn't be afraid to also cooperate with industry leaders. Yeah, so that's otherwise this would be a kind of too big gap, yeah, in the end. Going maybe one moment back to policy, George, how do you see this actually working, or what mechanisms do you see in the policy framework today to actually foster this project to product journey? I mean, we heard in the previous panel discussions a lot about fostering the openness, the standards in order to bring new players into the game. This is a clear, I assume, target of the policy making to like have common architectures and so on. Is this the main part of this policy framework to make this project to product happen, or what other things do you see here to how the Commission can help in making this journey faster from your point of view?
Okay, maybe I will not give the expected answer here, but I think there are many ways. And again, the same way we should be realistic, we need to be pragmatic, okay? And through the many research projects, and this is, okay, we have already Framework 10, we have been trying to come up with European solutions, okay? And this is extremely important, because if you have a number of proprietary solutions, or even if they are standards-based, if you have a number of unique solutions, okay, vendor-type solutions, you will not be able to address the full European market. And again, going back to the example of the connected mobility projects, this was an area where we have seen from the beginning, we had 7 major projects, over 20 million euros each one. And at the first stage, they came up with very particular solutions, okay? We'll not qualify them otherwise. Very particular solutions that did not scale, that were not compatible with anything. In the end, things work because we have these cross-border corridor projects, and we had the same operator on the 2 sides of the border, okay? The same operator group on the 2 sides of the border, namely Deutsche Telekom Group, that was very present in these projects. And because they were on both sides of the border, they obviously could dialogue. But this cannot be the basis for any European solution. So subsequently, then people realized that this cannot be done like this, and then we started really to have a dialogue. And they kind of converged to not a fully European or a full solution, but they came up with a clear understanding that there needs to be a common approach, which then can propagate. Okay, so we cannot really, and the Commission does not wait for the stage where you go into regulation or whatever. We need to start ahead. And we have done so in terms of trying to find European solutions, which then can be the basis for something else. So I've been talking about connected urban mobility, but I could talk about public protection and disaster relief, where there needs to be a European component. Okay? So we start with, my point is, we start with technology, we start with research leading to common European solutions, and then that can be the basis to convince people to move towards a regulation or acts that would facilitate the use of these solutions. Because if you don't solve the technological problems, if you don't understand technological problems, regulation is based upon what? Yes, yes, we want impact, but we need to act at all various levels, okay? It's just not, yes, we are going to regulate and simplify. That's too late, okay? And we have been looking to the broad scope.
I think that's a very important point. Also, it came up in the previous discussion that we don't want to make laws to use European technology or something. Someone said, I think this was a very valid point, that no one wants to make use of these results by force. Yeah, and although I'm working for a company that is heavily regulated in telco, so I'm very aware of regulation and its impact, but I fully agree with you that this can only be some kind of after step, which is fine-tuning something, but not shaping the direction. Maybe one perspective from a more industry point of view, what I see typically as the border, so there is a clear way of creating architectures, interfaces, frameworks, and then there is implementation. And it's very difficult to find this point until you want to go from a kind of R&D point of view to say this is how it should be, and then let someone implement something. And I see many initiatives where the R&D projects are stepping a little bit too early from my point of view. Yeah, so you get a framework which is so far interpretable that it's not really, everyone claims that it's compliant with something, a little bit. And if I look at initiatives like Open Compute, is much more concrete. You have a design which is really coming out that you can give someone to produce, more or less. So how do you see this trade-off, Kagatai, in terms of how far the research should really go, or you should actually not go so far to basically also leave the creativity of the industry players to do the rest?
I just want to push the topic to a bit timing. Both for the policy and both for the research, because us representing the research side, both in the low TRL and high TRL research, actually we are trying to do a really, really difficult work with the guidance of the EU. We try to introduce the right technologies at the right time for the market. Too late or too early sometimes can cause you lose all the money that you spend. And while we are doing that, while we are trying to catch up with all this, really fast revolving world, we also try to make it compatible with the regulation side. Some regulations, they actually back us up at the same time, pushing us in the right direction. As a result, I would say that European companies, they really shine when it comes to sustainable technologies. We rock when it comes to cooling, we rock when it comes to power electronics, but there are some parts that we have to challenge ourselves more. from my point of view, I think the main difference between OCP and what we do here is the response times. In OCP, or in globally, like especially in our market, I think technologies, they evolve really fast. And I think the main blocking point that we do is sometimes we don't respond fast enough. Because especially like there are different funding mechanisms like top-down and bottom-ups. Like bottom-ups may be okay, but most of the top-down calls like is a like representative of the research side. Until we deliver the proposal, sometimes some technologies are outdated. So what we do, we take the call, we interpret it like, okay, what it is the current state of the art right now. Then we try to come up with the best solution, which can also be helpful in the long term, like middle and long term. But when we start the project, sorry, I took a lot of time, but I think it's really important. When we start the project, we sign really harsh contracts with EU. And as a coordinator, former coordinator, like your hands are tied in many ways. There are great tools of EU trying to help us to push our technology and product in the market. Like continuous surveys are, being actualized by the push of the POs and so on. And I would say in most of the times when we finish the project, we have some products, but already someone, they've done it. This is a timing issue for me that we have to be a bit more responsive.
Thanks, Kagatai. I would like to open up in the last few minutes a discussion to the broader audience, so to you guys. I mean, you are all participating in various R&D projects, EU-supported projects. What is your view? What are your examples, or what is actually like hindering the velocity of a project to product? For example, the colleagues from the IPSAI initiative that were just on stage. I think that's a quite different way of also funding and driving things. What is your view on does that work well? Do you have a clear perspective on putting it to implementation, or what would help to make it better? If you could state your name and affiliation briefly.
Michele Capobianco from Italy. Actually, before telling you about my view, I would like to ask a question somehow related with the title, no? Because we are focusing on commercializing EU research assets. When we are targeting a market that is new or not existing at the moment, then we have plenty of opportunities. No major risks or no major problems, opportunities. And we can say that it's somehow easy. We can discuss how to commercialize the EU research assets in this case, but of course, it's one part of the story. When we are targeting a market that is already there, of course, there are some opportunities if the results of the research activities are convincing enough, but there are also a lot of problems. First of all, because the market is already occupied by some competitors, sometimes very big competitors, very large ones. You mentioned the IPCI. Of course, it's very obvious that in that particular context, is plenty of hyperscalers, huge, names, that, of course, occupy all the space. They are already fighting between themselves to occupy the space, the market space, let's say. So enter that kind of market is not easy. It requires a very solid approach. It's a completely different story. And we have to be very convincing, or those promoting the new research assets have to be very convincing toward the, possible users or the customers. That sometimes are also a little bit lazy. They don't want to change, they don't want to take any risk, so they have a solution that is already working, like, for instance, in cloud computing. So why they should take any risk and move to something that is also not so well defined yet? So, it's one of the problems. And actually, this also brings to my view on the topic, so to your question. So there is a big
Excuse me,
effort.
maybe
big
make a
effort.
conclusion.
Yes, a big effort to be made on how to convince the users and the customers, no, to make this change.
Okay, if I may. Let me give you an example, okay? Again, going back to these projects where we invested a lot of money to look into connected automated mobility, the objective is to have trans-European continuity of service, okay? So we have done all this work. We had 150 million in research. We put 1 billion euros in terms of deployment of corridors in that perspective. I can tell you that in spite of having already tested solutions, again, not optimal, but tested solutions, there was no take-up, okay? I'm being provocative, okay? We launched calls where there had no one interested. Why? Because the players didn't see an immediate role, didn't see an immediate potential. There's nothing we can do. There is no goodwill that will solve this problem. Eventually, I would say after 4 years, suddenly people started to wake up and say, yes, there is a potential. We will try. And suddenly it picked up. So when we tried, when we thought it would be immediate interest, it took a long time. The response time was much longer than we expected. But now we are seeing it. So again, you have to be patient. You have to understand that the players need to take, as you said, everything into consideration. If there are already solutions, why would they bother? Okay? It takes time to convince people, and they have to see it working. It is working, but even then, they have to convince their management. Okay? There's nothing you can do about that.
Maybe because we are also coming to an end, I would have one remark. In general, you're right, of course. Yeah, it's difficult to get into such markets, but especially in compute and cloud at the moment, it's a fantastic opportunity. I do half of my business with sovereign cloud at the moment. Yeah, so people are freaked out. In C-level are getting questions of what happens if something tariffs, someone business continuity challenges on Azure. These questions are real. Yeah, so now is the perfect time to actually push that, and I think there's a great opportunity at the moment. Yeah. Good. I think we have to close slowly. So I thank both of you a lot for this quick insight into this topic that we should always talk about continuously, actually. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, and talk to you in the breaks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.